Well, let's circle back to one of our top stories. Marriages in Singapore having hit a record high, reaching nearly 30,000 registrations last year. Now, on the flip side, divorces have fallen almost 10%, with most breakups occurring between 5 and 10 years of marriage. The new numbers are from a Social and Family Development Ministry report. Now, for more of an in-depth look, we speak with sociologist Paulin Straughan. She is Professor of Sociology at SMU, and she joins us live on Zoom. Professor Straughan, nice to see you again. I am wondering, what is driving this happy marriage trend?
Well, if you look at the statistics, I think the average length of marriages is sustained by a dip in the dissolution of young marriages, right? Those who are married between 1 to 5 years, the proportion who file for divorce is lower compared to 10 years ago. So this simply means that I think we are paying more attention when we get married, right? Which is good news. But now the stressor comes in the 5 to 10 year marriages, right? So that is when we get a little bit more comfortable in our marriage. I think this is a wake-up call that we have to continue to pay attention to each other and remember that courtship does not end when you get married. And once you get married, it is courtship for life.
Yeah, you brought up that little time frame there of between 5 and 10 years being a potential rough patch. Do you have a sense of perhaps why specifically this time frame?
So I think if you look at when we get married now, right, on average, around 30 years old. So within the first 10 years of marriage, we're talking about the couple being in their 30s and 40s, right? Now, this is an interesting period of our life, given that we now live longer. For many of us, the moment we hit close to 40, there is a period of reflection, right? It's a midpoint. So this is the time when, we start to recalibrate our life goals as we approach midlife. And, sometimes, that recalibration sets us on a different pathway compared to when we first met our spouse, when we were in our early, late 20s, early 30s. So that's one, right? So if you don't continue that courtship, which simply means spending time with each other and growing together, even if you're changing paths, right? As long as you are aware of where you are heading respectively, I think, chances are you will still be able to stay together and recalibrate, right, your joint goals. And of course, this is also the period where we are distracted by other responsibilities like child rearing. This is also the period where many of us are at the peak of our career progressions. So many distractions, and the danger then, comes when we, after getting married, the honeymoon is over, we then forget that marriage requires us to be committed, right? You have to grow with each other.
Now, I'm wanting to point your attention to the age at which they get married. Is 31 for men, 29 for women. Singaporeans, being very practical, it suggested that maybe the HDB had to delay their BTO projects during COVID. That could have, pushed that date a bit further back. What are your thoughts?
Possibly. I think that by and large, and that's just one of the factors. There are many other distractions besides getting the HDB, right? We are now staying in school longer, we are staying in training programs longer, and most would want to have some sort of stability on the career front before they commit to marriage, which we still continues to valorize, right, as a lifelong commitment. So the delays are inevitable. And I think that, as we track these figures in time to come, we can only expect that the age at first marriage to increase.
Prof, I also want to draw your attention to the proportion of inter-ethnic marriages. I think the statistic is showing that that's remained relatively stable over the past decade. Does that perhaps offer you some clues as to how Singapore society is progressing or maturing?
Well, I think that the statistic on inter-ethnic marriages is a big plus for Singapore, right? It valorizes our commitment to building a multicultural society. So when we look at inter-ethnic marriages, it is that the closest you can come, right, to demonstrating the acceptance of a person from another race. So that 15% on average is pretty decent. It's very good, in fact. And of course, with the inter-ethnic marriages, we have children who are bicultural. So this means that moving forward, Singapore can continue to strengthen our foundation as a multicultural society because we have now young Singaporeans who have a foot in, 2 or 3 different, cultural roots, and that they will chart their own narrative for the Singapore story ahead.
We appreciate your insights as always, Professor Paulin Straughan from the School of Social Sciences at SMU. Thank you.